If you're building a career in any data-driven role, whether you're in operations, strategy, product, or something more technical, you've probably heard this advice. Get good at Excel, learn to model, be detail-oriented. And sure, all of that is important. It is foundational. But here's the thing no one tells you until you're already in the job. There is a massive difference between being a good analyst and being a great one. And that difference, it has very little to do with how many formulas you've memorized or how clean your spreadsheets look. The analysts who stand out, the ones who become trusted by leadership, who get staffed on high visibility projects, who get promoted fast, they operate differently. In this video, I want to walk through the 3 biggest skill gaps I've seen between average analysts and exceptional ones, and I'll share real examples from my own experiences to show you exactly how they play out. These are all things that I wish I understood earlier in my own career, and if you get started on them now, you're going to be way ahead of the curve. I'm partnering with the Corporate Finance Institute for this video, and thanks to them, I'll also be sharing the best ways to close these skill gaps to help you take your career to the next level. CFI helped me go from thinking only like a junior analyst to thinking like a true corporate strategist. But before getting into the video, if this is your first time on my channel, then hi, my name is Cameron Galbraith and I make content aimed at educating and inspiring the next generation of business leaders. If you enjoyed this video, definitely make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming content. And now let's get into the video. Okay, let's start with the myth. We've all been told that technical skills are what matter most. That if you just learn Excel, SQL, PowerPoint, maybe even Python, that you will be unstoppable. But here's what happens when people follow that advice without context. They become good technicians, but not necessarily great analysts. I've worked with people who could build a nested index match with their eyes closed. They'd color code every tab in a model, double check every formula, build dynamic dashboards, but when it came time to present the findings or advise on a decision, they had nothing to say. Because they weren't thinking like a decision maker, they were thinking like an executor. On the flip side, I've worked with analysts who weren't the most technical, but they understood the business so well and communicated so clearly that senior people started asking for them by name. So here's the truth. Technical skills are necessary, but they are not sufficient. They get you in the door, but they don't get you promoted. Let's get into what actually does. The first major differentiator is business intuition, understanding why the numbers matter and how they connect to real decisions. Let me share a quick story. In my first job out of school working in Big Four consulting, I got staffed on a project with a major global financial services client. The focus was assessing a new service offered by the bank and what its impact would be on the firm's risk profile. Exciting stuff, I know. It was a big project, tons of data, and I was excited to prove myself. I spent days building a detailed model, clean inputs, beautiful formatting, drop-down menus for different scenarios, sensitivity charts, everything. When it came time to walk through it, I was confident. I opened the spreadsheet and started walking my team through the tabs, but then the partner on the call stopped me. He said, "This looks great, but what's the so what? Are we doing this or not? And what are the risks?" And I didn't have an answer. And that is because I had been so focused on building a perfect model, but not answering the underlying business question. That moment stuck with me, and it taught me this. Great analysts don't just run numbers, they develop a point of view. They understand the levers that matter, and they build analysis around business questions, not academic ones. They go from here's what the data says to here's what we should actually do about it. One of the ways I really started to sharpen this thinking was through case-based learning. I use CFI's FMVA program, which doesn't just teach you formulas, it puts you in real-world business situations where you have to think like a decision maker. That's where the light bulb went off for me. The best way to develop this intuition, start thinking in trade-offs. What would happen if we increase spend here but reduce headcount there? If we delay a product launch by 1 quarter, how does that affect total lifetime value? If we double down on a specific customer segment, how does it impact customer acquisition and payback? These are real business decisions, and the sooner you start thinking in these terms, the more strategic you'll become. The second big difference is communication. Let me say this clearly. Being able to communicate your work is just as important as doing the work. Rewind that and listen to that again. Here is a scenario that I've seen play out way too often. An analyst spends hours, maybe even days, building a model or a dashboard. They email it to their team or walk through it in a meeting, and no one really gets it. People nod, say thanks, then move on. The work never gets used. Why? Because it wasn't clear. It didn't tell a story. It didn't lead to a decision. At a certain level, your work will be judged less by how technically perfect it is and more by how easily others can understand it and act on it. That's especially true with senior leaders. They don't have time for 10-tab spreadsheets or dense slides. They want the headline. Revenue is up 15%, but it's being driven entirely by one-time deals. Churn is stable, but only because we're offering heavy discounts. If we cut this marketing channel, we save $500K, but risk a 10% drop in acquisition. Clarity is everything. If you're not sure how to improve this, here's a tip. Next time you send a deck or present an analysis, start with the answer, then walk through the evidence backwards. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but great analysts aren't just good at numbers, they're good at persuasion. And communication is what gets your insights across the finish line. And finally, the most important one, in my opinion, initiative. This is the difference between being reactive and being proactive. That's the mindset of a great analyst. So if you want to stand out, start asking better questions. Don't just look at the data, interrogate it. Don't just answer the ask, think about what's missing. Every dashboard, every slide deck, every model, it's an opportunity to dig deeper. And when you do, people notice. Now, I get it. You might be thinking, this sounds great, but how do I actually build these skills? And here's what I'd recommend. Sharpen your technical toolkit. You still need to know Excel, financial modeling, dashboards, basic analysis. These are the foundation of everything. But then focus on real-world application. Theory is helpful, but the real learning comes from practice. Build models based on real companies. Try reverse engineering strategy from public filings. Present insights to friends or mentors for feedback. Invest in structured learning. If you want a shortcut to building these skills, especially the communication and business intuition part, CFI's FMVA program is a great place to start. It's not just theory, you're working through real company challenges, building models from scratch, and learning how to connect analysis to strategy. That's the kind of learning that actually sticks. One of their most well-known programs is the FMVA, the Financial Modeling and Valuation Analyst Certification, and it's helped thousands of people bridge the gap between I kind of get it and I'm job ready. Over 2 million finance professionals have gone through CFI's programs, from analysts all the way up to VPs. If you're serious about closing those skill gaps and want a structured, practical way to do it, check out the FMVA from CFI. I've linked it down below. So, what separates good analysts from great ones? It's not your GPA, it's not how fast you can build a DCF model, it's how well you can think, communicate, and act with initiative. That's what makes you trusted, that's what gets you in the room, and eventually, that's what gets you promoted. If this video helped you, drop a like and let me know in the comments. And as always, if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.